picture Dr. Doom for a second, right? Like the absolute, undisputed, iron-fisted ruler of Latveria.
Right, a man whose entire identity is basically just forged in absolute control.
Exactly. So he's standing in the center of this wildly complex, super dangerous ritual. He's midway through this mystic incantation, and he's attempting to tear through the very fabric of the multiverse.
And his goal here is deeply personal, actually.
Yeah, he's trying to reach the underworld to save his mother's soul. So he's blending bleeding-edge quantum mechanics with ancient, forbidden sorcery. And it requires just unyielding precision.
But right in the middle of it, something goes catastrophically wrong.
Yeah, like a miscalculation or, I don't know, maybe interference from a cosmic entity like the Beyonder, or some backlash from a spat with Doctor Strange. Whatever it is, his passage is hijacked.
Completely hijacked.
His armor shorts out, his magic sputters into literally nothing, and he is violently thrown off course.
And, he doesn't just land in a slightly different timeline or like a parallel Marvel universe where the laws of physics still obey him. He is violently expelled from everything he understands.
Right into a muddy rice paddy. Specifically, a rice paddy just outside a hidden ninja village in the Elemental Nations. So the universe of Naruto.
Yeah, it's quite the tonal shift.
It really is.
Yeah.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a truly incredible thought experiment today based on the essay, The Latverian Shogun, Doom's Dominion Over the Elemental Nations.
It's such a fascinating premise.
It is. And I want to be clear right up front for everyone listening. Our mission today isn't to sit here and argue about comic book power scaling.
Right, we're not doing the whole whose laser beam beats whose fireball thing.
Exactly. We are exploring a psychological and philosophical collision. We're looking at what happens when a man defined entirely by his need to dominate his environment is dropped into a world governed by willpower, empathy, and collective human bonds.
And it's just a phenomenal premise because the contrast is immediately jarring. I mean, let's just look at the mechanics of that crash landing.
Oh yeah, paint that picture.
So Doom is lying in the dirt. His legendary armor, which is this crazy hybrid of titanium and sorcery, is literally smoking.
Just totally fried.
Exactly. The microscopic magic circuits that line his suit are failing because the ambient magical energy he relies on it simply does not exist here.
He's abruptly cut off from his entire infrastructure.
Yeah. But more importantly, he's suddenly surrounded by a completely alien, uncatalogued form of energy that just permeates everything in this new reality.
Chakra, which is, the fundamental building block of the Naruto universe.
Right. And the existence of chakra presents an immediate, profound philosophical problem for Doom.
Because it goes against everything he knows.
Exactly. Think about how Doom traditionally acquires and wields power. It's rooted in Faustian bargains, dark eldritch pacts, and cold mechanical mastery.
He extracts power by dominating it, basically.
Yeah, bending natural and supernatural laws to his strict calculations.
Yeah.
But chakra operates on a radically different axis. It's a biological and spiritual phenomenon.
Right, it's alive.
It is. It's created by molding the physical energy of the human body with the spiritual energy of the mind and, lived experience.
Shaped by genetics and hand seals and all that.
Exactly.
So if you're listening to this and you're trying to wrap your head around this shift, imagine taking a master computer programmer, someone who builds flawless, millions of lines of code operating systems, and suddenly dropping them into a reality where technology doesn't run on ones and zeros.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Instead, it's like playing a complex acoustic instrument where your own heartbeat, your breathing, and your emotional state dictate the tempo and the output. You can't just hack it with a keyboard. You have to biologically and spiritually sync with it.
That is a highly accurate way to conceptualize it. The underlying language of reality has completely changed on him without any warning at all.
All his equations are basically useless.
Utterly useless here.
So keeping that in mind, I actually have a theory about his immediate reaction. Since his usual tech is failing, and his magic is sputtering out against this weird biological energy system, the logical assumption is that a notorious control freak like Doom would completely panic.
You'd think so, yeah.
I mean, his armor is dead weight. He is stranded.
Yeah.
Everything he uses to assert his dominance is gone. He's got to be freaking out.
You would really think so, but understanding Doom's specific pathology reveals why he wouldn't. He wouldn't feel an ounce of fear or panic.
Wait, really?
Not even a little bit. He would feel absolute fascination.
Fascination.
Huh.
But he's completely vulnerable in an unknown, potentially hostile territory.
Vulnerable, sure, yes. But Doom is, at his core, an imperialist of knowledge.
Oh, wow. An imperialist of knowledge.
Yeah. His ego is so monumental that the concept of an insurmountable obstacle doesn't even compute for him. He has never, in his entire life, encountered a system of power that he did not immediately intend to dissect and master.
So the fact that he doesn't get it doesn't scare him.
Not at all. The fact that chakra is a biological system he doesn't understand yet doesn't terrify him. It merely presents a new puzzle.
A new mountain to conquer.
Exactly. And he fully believes it is his divine right to stand at the summit.
Which means he can't just, sit alone in a smoking crater in a rice paddy trying to figure it out. If he wants to master this new power system, he has to gather data.
He has to mingle.
Yeah. He has to step onto the world stage and engage with the local factions of the elemental nations. And a presence like Doom doesn't exactly go unnoticed.
It absolutely doesn't. And this brings us to the geopolitical fallout of his arrival. His mere existence upends the established order of the ninja world.
Because he's just this massive anomaly.
Right, and he inevitably gravitates toward the nearest center of power and knowledge, which is the Hidden Leaf Village.
The premier Shinobi state. So he ends up in their custody, essentially as this incredibly dangerous, reluctant guest. The leaders of the village, whether it's the third Hokish, who is this aging, pragmatic professor of ninja arts, or Tsunade, who is a fiercely protective leader, they have to size him up.
The tension in that dynamic would just be palpable. The Hokage and their top intelligence officers are looking at a man who arrived from nowhere, whose technology is completely beyond their comprehension, and who just radiates sheer menace and staggering intellect.
It's a nightmare for them.
It is, because ninja operates entirely on information gathering and risk assessment. You do not provoke an unknown anomaly.
Right. He isn't like an unexploded bomb. He's more like a highly advanced, dormant computer virus sitting on their most secure server.
That's a great analogy.
They know he could completely crash their system, but they can't delete him without risking triggering the exact catastrophe they're trying to avoid. So they watch him, and he watches them.
And while he's watching them, he is meticulously analyzing their societal structure. Doom looks at the day-to-day bureaucracy and the petty squabbling of the village with absolute contempt.
Of course he does.
He finds it terribly inefficient, but privately, he recognizes the sheer utility of a shinobi state.
He kind of respects it.
He does, because this is a society built on a mixture of brutal pragmatism, hidden agendas, and a profound sense of collective purpose. They literally weaponize their own populace from childhood to maintain a balance of global power.
And that is a methodology Victor Von Doom can deeply, deeply respect.
Exactly.
It's such a Doom takeaway. He completely ignores the vibrant culture and the camaraderie of the village and just respects the cold efficiency of their military-industrial complex.
Naturally.
But here's the thing. A power vacuum or an anomaly that massive creates ripples across the geopolitical landscape.
Yeah.
And those ripples naturally attract predators outside the village walls.
Right, the rare elements.
Which draws the attention of the major rogue organization, the Akatsuki.
Specifically, their leader, Pain. Pain is a figure who possesses the Rinnegan, which are these legendary eyes that grant him godlike abilities, and he operates from the Hidden Rain Village.
Which is a country endlessly caught in the crossfire of larger nations' wars.
Right. And because of that traumatic background, Pain would look at Doom's sudden appearance and see an opportunity. He would see either a ready-made, devastating weapon for his cause or a highly dangerous rival ideology that needs to be brought to heel.
This leads to one of the most fascinating hypothetical interactions in the source essay. Pain attempts to recruit Doom.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And to understand why this goes so horribly wrong, we have to look at Pain's core philosophy, which is literally just pain and peace. Pain believes that humanity is inherently flawed and prone to conflict, right?
Yeah.
He thinks that only by inflicting a massive shared trauma making the entire world suffer equally can they ever truly understand each other and achieve lasting peace.
It's an ideology born entirely from shared victimhood and collective trauma. Pain basically wants to be the god who disciplines a violent world through suffering.
And the essay points out how incredibly satisfying it is to realize how Doom would react to that, because Doom is a man who rules.
He definitely does not follow.
He does not follow, and he certainly does not wallow in shared trauma. Doom would dismantle Pain's entire worldview in just a few sentences. Pain says, the world must suffer to find peace. And Doom would just simply reply, the world does not need to suffer, it simply needs to be ruled by Doom.
It is a complete ideological stonewall.
Just a brick wall.
Because Pain's entire philosophy requires the participants to acknowledge their own vulnerability and fear.
Right, which Doom will never do.
Never. Doom refuses to acknowledge either of those things. Payne's ideology is fundamentally incompatible with a man who believes his own sheer willpower and intellect are the sole, rightful, sovereign forces of reality.
It's the ultimate brush off. Like, your philosophy is a cute trauma response, but I'm in charge.
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of rogue actors and extreme ideologies, this naturally puts Doom on a collision course with another major threat, Orochimaru.
Ah, yes.
The rogue ninja, the disgraced scientist of the Naruto world who conducts horrific genetic experiments in his pursuit of immortality and mastering all jujutsu.
Orochimaru is the closest thing this universe has to a mad scientist. Both he and Doom are obsessed with transcending human limitations.
Yeah.
They both utilize forbidden means, they both reject the natural order, and they are both supremely, supremely arrogant.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there and push back on this a little bit because it feels like a glaring contradiction in the essay.
Okay, how so?
Well, if Orochimaru and Doom share the exact same obsession with forbidden power, and they both want to transcend biological limits through science, why wouldn't they team up?
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like, they're two hyper-intelligent, unethical scientists stranded in a world of traditional ninja. It seems like a totally natural alliance. So why does this thought experiment suggest they would instantly recognize and completely despise each other?
It's a great question, and it really comes down to the underlying psychology of their ambition. You have to look past the surface similarities.
Okay.
Doom justifies his atrocities, the dictatorships, the conquests, the ruthless destruction of his enemies, by genuinely believing that his rule is the only way to save humanity from destroying itself.
So he thinks he's the good guy.
He really does.
Yeah.
In his mind, he bears the terrible burden of leadership for the greater good. His tyranny is, to him, a noble sacrifice.
Right. So he thinks he's the hero.
Precisely. Orochimaru, on the other hand, possesses absolutely no such noble delusions.
He's just in it for himself.
Completely. He conducts his horrific experiments, kidnaps people, and snatches bodies purely for his own selfish curiosity and personal survival. He just wants to live forever and learn everything, and he does not care who suffers for it.
Oh, I see.
So when Doom looks at Orochimaru, he doesn't see a peer. He sees a parasite. He sees his own ruthless, calculating methods stripped of all their grand, noble self-justification, laid bare as pure, slithering, selfish ambition. And it would utterly disgust him.
That is fascinating. It's like Doom is saying, I'm allowed to cross ethical lines because I'm bringing order to a chaotic universe. You're crossing them just to see what happens. It offends his sense of regal purpose.
Exactly. Orochimaru represents the chaos of unchecked curiosity, whereas Doom represents the absolute order of applied intellect. They are diametrically opposed in their ultimate goals.
But whether he's dismissing Payne's trauma or being disgusted by Orochimaru's experiments, for Doom, playing politics is ultimately just a means to an end.
It's all data collection.
Because his true overarching objective is solving what we can call the chakra problem. He needs to reverse engineer this biological energy system.
And this is where the mechanics of the thought experiment get truly interesting. How does a man whose power is derived from technology and extrinsic magic master an energy system that requires specific, inherent genetic coils that he simply does not possess?
Well, he has to build them. Because his tech and magic hybrid armor doesn't cleanly map onto the biological pathways of chakra, he essentially spends his time dissecting the system to see how it ticks.
Right.
He breaks down the spatial geometry of sealing jujutsu, which are essentially intricate formulas written in ink and chakra to manipulate reality. He maps the flow of energy. He even forces himself to apprentice under masters of the craft to extract their knowledge.
He seeks out individuals like Jiraiya, which honestly is an incredibly humiliating prospect for him.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Jiraiya is one of the most legendary ninja alive, a master spy master, but he also intentionally cultivates this persona of a loud, incredibly goofy, eccentric hermit.
I can just imagine the sheer indignity of it. Dr. Doom, a monarch, a man who refers to himself in the third person, grinding his teeth into dust while having to sit quietly and listen to Jiraiya explain the spiritual nuances of chakra molding.
It's hilarious, but he tolerates it only because his analytical mind recognizes the profound intelligence hiding beneath Jiraiya's foolish facade.
He gets what he needs and gets out.
Exactly. Doom extracts the data he needs regarding how physical stamina and spiritual energy combine. He then takes that knowledge back to his makeshift labs. He begins mapping the microcircuitry of his Latverian armor to simulate the biological chakra coils of a human body.
That's insane.
He literally designs internal converters that translate the thermal and electrical energy of his suit into a synthetic analog of spiritual energy.
And the result of all this agonizing study and reverse engineering is that Doom succeeds. He forges his own synthetic chakra system.
He actually pulls it off.
He builds what is essentially a Bijuu-tier arsenal, which means he reaches the power level of a tailed beast. He becomes a walking tactical nuke, capable of matching the highest echelons of ninja power through sheer, arrogant intellect.
He forces the universe to bend to his intellect through applied hubris.
Applied hubris, I love that.
It creates the mechanical effect of a god without having to possess the biology of one.
But, if you're listening to this and tracking the logic, this raises a massive question.
Let's hear it.
If Doom can just swoop into this universe, study for a bit, map out the physics, and synthetically recreate the absolute pinnacle of their power system without any genetic bloodlines, doesn't that prove his point?
Did it?
Doesn't that explicitly prove that his philosophy of cold, mechanical control is vastly superior to their natural, spiritual way of doing things?
On a purely kinetic, destructive level, yes. It proves his unparalleled genius. He can mathematically calculate the exact yield needed to incinerate a mountain and then synthesize the blast. But if you look deeper at the mechanics of what he has actually done, it exposes his greatest, most fundamental limitation.
Wait, how so? If he can output the power of a tailed beast and level a city, why does it matter how he generated the energy?
Because he is merely simulating the output. He built the engine, but he fundamentally misunderstands the fuel.
Oh, I see.
We established earlier that chakra isn't just a weapon, it is willpower. It's tied to human bonds, to spirit, to life itself. It connects people.
And Doom doesn't care about any of that.
Right. Doom is treating it like an electrical grid. He's recreating the destructive effect, the massive fireballs, the devastating energy blasts, without ever understanding its actual soul.
He understands the what and the how, but completely misses the why.
Exactly. And it is precisely this blind spot, this absolute refusal to acknowledge the spiritual, connective human element of the world that leads Doom into a collision course with the one force in the elemental nations that he fundamentally cannot reverse engineer or simulate with microcircuitry.
Which brings us to the emotional and thematic climax of this scenario. The ideological collision between Dr. Doom and Naruto Uzumaki himself.
This is where the synthesis of these two universes really reaches its peak, because the most compelling beats of this crossover aren't about a physical conflict.
Right. It's not a fistfight.
No, it's not just about Doom firing synthetic chakra lasers at Naruto's Rasengan, his signature spiraling sphere of energy. The actual battle is a clash of their core beliefs.
It's the immovable object of Doom's absolute ego meeting the unstoppable force of Naruto's radical empathy. Let's really look at that contrast. Naruto's entire ethos, the absolute foundation of his character, is that true strength comes entirely from bonds.
Yes.
It comes from the connections you forge with other people. He believes that understanding another person's pain is the key to peace, and he genuinely believes that absolutely no one is beyond saving.
Which is the exact antithesis of Victor Von Doom. Doom has spent his entire life, built his entire armor, both the literal titanium suit and his metaphorical psychological defenses around the absolute rejection of that idea.
Totally.
Doom firmly believes that needing people is a fatal flaw. It is a vulnerability to be exploited by your enemies. For Doom, isolation is strength. Connection is weakness.
And the dynamic between them would be incredible to witness. Because Naruto wouldn't just try to punch Doom into submission. That's not how Naruto operates.
No, not at all.
Naruto would genuinely try to understand him. He would look at this armored tyrant, look past the synthetic BU-tier energy readings, and try to figure out why this man is in so much pain that he needs to hide behind a metal mask.
And in turn, Doom would find himself deeply, deeply unsettled.
Because he can't process it.
Right. Not by Naruto's raw, destructive power, but by how undeniably effective Naruto's supposed weakness actually is. Doom would watch Naruto drawing literal, tangible strength from his bonds with his friends, achieving miracles that defy Doom's strict mathematical calculations.
It completely breaks Doom's internal logic.
It does. It forces him to confront the terrifying possibility that his entire philosophy of absolute isolated self-reliance might actually be flawed.
Wait, hold on. I have an observation here, and it feels like a massive irony that traces all the way back to the very first minute of our deep dive.
Oh, what's the connection?
Think about the premise. We established right at the start that Doom only ended up in this universe in the first place because he was performing a highly dangerous, desperate ritual to save his mother's soul. That was the catalyst for the crash.
That is correct. He was tearing through dimensions for her.
So isn't his entire philosophy a lie?
Ah.
I mean, he preaches about absolute self-reliance. He acts like needing anyone is a pathetic weakness. Yet he is risking his own existence, defying the laws of magic and physics, entirely out of love and a desperate need for his mother.
Wow.
He does need someone. His actions completely contradict his words. Doesn't that make Naruto's message of empathy the ultimate existential threat to Doom's ego?
That is the crux of the entire character dynamic right there. Doom's entire persona is built on that profound contradiction. He wears a mask of cold, unfeeling metal specifically to hide a man who is so desperately, agonizingly attached to the memory of his mother that he will fight literal demons to get her back.
Naruto would see right through him.
He absolutely would. Naruto is dangerous to Doom precisely because Naruto's radical empathy operates like a psychological skeleton key. It bypasses the titanium and the synthetic chakra entirely.
Naruto wouldn't attack the Latverian Shogun. He would look right past the dictator and speak directly to Victor Von Doom. He would just see a grieving son who misses his mom.
Yes, and for a man who has spent decades and billions of dollars trying to bury himself under layers of technology, magic, and absolute geopolitical control, being truly seen and understood on that fundamental human level would be the most disarming, terrifying experience of his life.
It's his worst nightmare.
Because empathy is the one variable his equations cannot solve.
It's just wild to think about. If you're listening to this and you've ever tried to strictly logic your way through an emotional problem or tried to build walls to keep people out so you don't get hurt, you know exactly why Doom is hitting a brick wall here.
Oh, for sure.
You can't mathematically calculate grief, and you can't engineer your way out of needing human connection.
It is a remarkable synthesis of two very different thematic worlds. It uses the flashy mechanics of comic book crossovers to explore something deeply relatable about the human condition and, the lengths we go to in order to protect ourselves from vulnerability.
It really does. It shows us that you can reverse engineer the mechanics of power, you can map the pathways and simulate the output, but you cannot synthesize the soul. Which leaves us with a massive philosophical question to close out on.
Consider the ultimate implication of this thought experiment. If Naruto's relentless empathy and his absolute belief in the power of bonds actually managed to break through, if he somehow pierced that armor of isolation and Doom was forced to accept his own humanity, would an emotionally healed Dr. Doom still be Doom?
Man, that's a good question.
Without his armor of absolute self-reliance, his consuming need for control, and his suppressed grief, would he lose his edge and become ordinary? Or would a Dr. Doom who finally understands and harnesses the true connective power of human bonds become the most terrifying, unstoppable force the multiverse has ever seen?
Think about that the next time you try to turn your feelings into a math equation. We'll leave you in the rice paddy with that one. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.